This call is being recorded. So we will get you guys the link to this later if you need it or if you'd like it. But let's go ahead and jump in. So like I said, this is the bucket.io webinar where we're going to cover some features that boost your conversions. So you know, making sure people make their way all the way through your segmentation funnels and your surveys. In fact, just so you know, and if you've used the software before, you probably know this, bucket.io, that's kind of our main thing, is building these segmentation funnels that are designed to really convert, get people all the way through them, giving you their information so you can take a crack at selling them your product or service. What we'll do is I'm going to be going through, we'll cover like a lot of things inside of the Bucket app today, but if you want a one-on-one call, I'll drop that link later. We'll do a Q&A at the end, but I'm also, these afternoon calls, I like to kind of just work through, see what questions you guys have, and answer them as we go. If I don't get some things answered, be sure to know that we will do a Q&A at the end of the call. And then, of course, like I said, I will also invite you to get on the schedule to talk one-on-one with a bucket.io specialist to help you with your account. And I'll talk about more of that in detail if you're not sure what that is. So, what are the objectives? What are we going to be looking at here? So I'm going to be showing you the tools that you can use inside of Bucket that will help you boost the conversions. And when I say conversion, I mean getting people all the way through, giving you their contact information, and possibly, if you're making sales on your outcome pages, improving those conversions as well. So, but the main idea is to get them all the way through your funnel, no one dropping off, and giving you their emails, and so you're capturing leads. So some of these things I'm kind of going to give away what we're going to be covering here, but some of those are adding videos to your welcome, your opt-in, and your outcome pages. In some cases, I've even heard adding them to some of your questions too. So we're going to be talking a lot about adding videos. I'll show you guys how to do all that. Adding images to your surveys and funnels. We've talked about it before. I want to cover it again because, just so you know, especially in segmentation funnels, these are super conversion boosters, okay? We'll be talking about using multiple lead capture pages, and then finally we're going to talk about putting field logic into your funnels. So you'll know how to do all these things by the time we're done with this webinar, and a few other things that just frankly didn't make it onto the bullet list. So let's jump right into it. You know how we like to do these. We like to get you inside of Bucket and talking about this stuff. So we're going to first cover adding video, because I've heard before from people that just didn't know you could add video or know how to. So I'm going to explain how. But the why is pretty simple, right? I mean, it's video in almost every case where it's being used beats out image only or text only content. It definitely gives you the ability to add value and give details about, whether it's instructions for taking your survey or you're going through your funnel, or just making your offer. It makes that a lot easier to do because there's just not a lot of space to enter a bunch of text. And in most cases, I mean, nowadays with the smartphones and stuff like that, it's super simple to implement. So that's that's why you would do it. But let's talk about and take a look at how. All right. So I'm jumping over into Bucket. First thing I want to say is that you can add video to both your surveys and your segmentation funnels. Okay. So you can add it from your welcome pages, and I'm going to walk through how to do these. In fact, why don't I just do that now? Well, I think I have one that has video on it already. Yes, I think this one does. Actually, I think there's a few of them do. So the first thing we want to look at is adding it to the welcome page. So as you can see here, with the welcome page, you can put all your copy, your headlines, and then on this one, it looks like we're using a YouTube video. And the way that you add these videos, again, like I said before, it's really simple. So over on every landing page, and we'll walk through a couple other ones here in a second, but you can see that you can add an image/video. Images are fine. Videos, as far as all my testing is concerned, perform the best. So how do you know if you need to add a video? Well, actually, we'll get to that in a second, because there are some things that I look at before I add one if I don't have one ready-made. But here's how you add one. So let's look at this first. To add a video, like I said, you just on these, you just click on video, and it's the same on all of them. And then you notice here I'm using the iframe embed code from YouTube. Facebook has this, so if you have a video on Facebook you want to use, you can just pop over to Facebook, copy that, and put that in here as well. If you use Wistia or any like paid hosting service, you can use that as well. I don't know if Amazon Web Services has an embed code. Does anybody know if they do? I don't know if they do. But if they do, you could use that as well. But what you have to use is this actual embed code. Here, let me pull up and see if anyone has any issues they've had with this. So if you've used video and you've kind of come up with any issues, oh, there you go. Yeah, I don't know about Amazon either. Okay, Garth has a good question. So he's asking, will video play within my website or go to a new tab on YouTube? And the fact is, it'll just play it right there on the page that it's on. Here, let me show you guys how this will work. So you can just see here, you can just actually play it in here. And there's Tony. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it plays automatically on the page. When I say automatically, I don't know if you can put it to where it'll autoplay. I think you can, and it'll start autoplaying when it loads. But I think that only works for YouTube on desktop. Like, I don't think that feature works on mobile. But I do know that putting a video on your welcome page. So okay, yeah. So this is what we talked about before. Why would you put a video on your welcome page? Well, first of all, it lets you really sell your offer, right? So if you've got a in this case, we're looking at a segmentation funnel. And so, we've got the copy and we've got this button for them to start going through the funnel. Well, the video gives that opportunity for the person to really make their offer. Tell them what you're going to get, what happens when you complete this segmentation, whether it's a quiz, an assessment, or just answering one question to get this thing that I'm promising you. It lets you really sell that. And video, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, is the best at getting them to click this button. Because remember, nothing really starts until if you've got a welcome page, which is basically your landing page, nothing starts until they click yes, I want to do this thing, right? And then from there, then you want to push them through the rest of the funnel. But getting them to click this button, that's where you kind of you make your offer inside your video. That's one of the reasons I would add it. So let's say I test one out that doesn't have a video versus one that does, or let's say I start one that does not have a video, and I'm like, and I'm getting traffic to the welcome page, and let's say maybe there's a large drop off in people clicking the link. Well, what I'll want to do is, a lot of times what I'll do is just add a video to it and say, hey, when you click that button right down there, this is what's going to happen. And I'll take them through the steps of what's going to happen. And usually that's enough to lift conversions by a lot. So if you've got a segmentation funnel out there without a video on it, and you're seeing a big drop-off on people that hit the welcome page and don't go through, that might be a good thing to try out, is just putting a video and explaining what happens when they click it and what they'll get by going through your quiz, your assessment, or your segmentation funnel. So this is how you add it. You just come over here, turn on video, paste in the embed code, and then you're good to go. Let's pull up these questions here. Chris is asking, does the link to video matter as far as your testing goes? I don't think so. I think, like I said, I think it really boils down to just what you say on the video. Really, explaining what they get. If it's a good offer, if you're clear and tell them the steps that they have to take, And again, put that call to action. Say, hey, there is a button down there. Click on that to get the thing that you want so much. That, however long that takes you to say, is usually good enough. Peggy says, would probably want to turn off related videos showing up at the end. You're totally right. This one, I literally just went on public YouTube, grabbed the video, and slapped it on there. But you're totally right. You would want to turn off the related videos. I think I have one that has that turned off here. Let's check this one out. And you can see, like, they're totally different. You can use slides. You can use your face shot. Yeah, you can I mean, you could do whatever you want on these. Now it looks like this one has it too, and that's kind of the thing about YouTube. You lose some of that control, but again, you can use any video sharing platform that has embed codes on it. All right. Suzette asked, what does that mean, turn off related videos? So I think on some of them, you can turn off the related, it's an option in YouTube to turn off the related videos at the end, where YouTube's like, hey, check out some of these other videos. You can actually turn that off, I believe. And so that's how you add it to a welcome page. The lead pages, like the lead capture pages, you can add them there as well. Let's go in here. It's the same thing. Literally on every page, like one of the builder pages, you can add a lead capture page. So a lot of times, you may find that on a lead capture page, you give them, again, just a little more information. Hey, I'm about to give you that thing. All you got to do is put in your email address and your name or whatever you're asking for. I haven't done a lot of testing with putting video on the lead capture pages. We do offer it. And then if you get into using multiple lead capture page, which is one of the things we are going to go through, you can use a specific video for each lead capture page. So if you wanted to customize your video message for each person to make sure they go through with it, enter their name and info, then you could certainly add a video right here on the lead capture page, doing the exact same thing that we did on the welcome page. Let's just discard these. And then finally, and again, this is another place where I highly, highly recommend you definitely put your, this is external redirect, which I know for a fact on these external redirect pages they have videos. Highly recommend putting videos on your outcome pages. Number one, it really gives you the opportunity to prove that it's a custom outcome, right? Because everyone's kind of, well, not everyone, but people are kind of hit to the trick of changing the text up some, right? But if the video is also customized to meet their to meet their level of customization, to solve their problem that they just told you they had, or to give them an answer to their question based on the results of their quiz or assessment, delivering that information in a video, it just shows that kind of white glove, that next level of customization. Shows you really took the time to understand them and deliver them the information. And so I highly recommend, if you're not doing videos on your outcome pages, it's super easy to do. And like I said, it's the same thing. Like in this case, you see here we're using just the Wistia embed. It looks great. It makes it super easy to to put on here. Highly recommend it. And again, when we're talking conversions, I always recommend going with video, at least on the outcome. And then again, if we're failing on our conversions on the front end, on that welcome page, always at least consider doing that too. Does Bucket offer any kind of networking available to see what people in other niches are doing with their funnels? We don't have a bunch of case studies with different videos or different strategies or techniques. We did launch, and I don't have it. in front of me right now. I think we gave out like some templates. Did anyone on here get the templates that we use? I think maybe one or two of those may have had a video on it. Josh says no. Couple of no's, couple of yeses. So I don't have access to it right this second. The templates, well, okay, just so you guys know, it's not like a template that you can just like apply to your Bucket account. It basically is, it shows like an explanation of the type of funnel that you can build with an example, and then the flow chart for it. Got it. Is it in the help section? That's a great question. I don't want to derail. We'll jump over to that. I will mark that down as something to look at later. But yeah, I think it might actually be. So we'll check there here in a little bit. Boom, boom. I see you, Chris. And yeah, we do have our Facebook page right now, guys. And it's mostly it's not just it's not just for promotions. It's for announcements for webinars like these and other things that we are adding to the application as we go. All right, so let's do this. Let me describe these changes. So that's video, right? So now you guys can see, and you've gotten a recommendation of someone who has seen and launched hundreds of these things, telling you that if you don't have video, you really ought to at least consider it, especially if you're running traffic to any of your funnels now, and you want to try to improve the performance of it. Video is a super easy first step to doing that. All right. Now let's talk about the next big needle mover, and that is image answers. I really should have done a better job of getting you guys some more examples here, because there's a couple of things that you can do that I just don't think I have examples for. Let me see. Maybe I do. I'm going to back out of here. I'm going to show you guys how to do image answers. One of the big reasons image answers are so good is because they're bigger, right? So if you're just using text on your segmentation funnels and it's going out to people on mobile, they're struggling to click on it. I'll just tell you that right now. Like, they can do it, it's possible, it works, but it's not nearly as clean and easy as using images for your answers. So let's, for instance, let me jump over here. Sometimes I get that you just can't. Copy this link. Sometimes I get that you just can't use images. Sometimes you got like these long answers, and you have to keep it text, right? But what I would challenge you to do, if you are seeing drops in your segmentation funnels, especially in your segmentation funnels, and if you're using long text responses on your radio buttons, I would challenge you to figure out how could you boil your responses down to an image. Because if you can boil it down to an image, that means you have achieved peak dummying it down for the masses, right? So number one, that by itself is enough to make it convert better, right? If you can say, you can take some response, some answer, condense it down into just a picture, and it explains exactly what you want it to, that by itself is enough, right? But then you've got this ability, so you've got these people on their phones, right? And some phones are, bigger than others, but some phones are not that huge. Like the new, iPhones are a little bit smaller, some of them anyways. And so, what you're looking for is just ease of use. And when you're using these images, so you can see here, the whole image itself is clickable, not just this tiny little radio button with the words next to it. So when you're using images, you increase the size of someone being able to click on it, and that also is a huge step to getting more people to go all the way through your funnel, right? Because imagine if I just had on this one just the words Eli, Dak, Aaron, and Tom Brady, right? First of all, they would have to try and recall who it is. I mean, I'm sure they would be able to, but then these responses would be stacked up and down here, and so they would have to kind of fingernail it instead of just using their entire thumb to click on the person of choice, right? So you guys see what I'm saying here? Like the more you use images in your responses, the more likely that someone's just going to click on it just for the sake of clicking on it and to see what's next. It's a very good curiosity builder. It's good for getting the click, and again, boiling a full-blown response down, multiple words down into just a picture and maybe a word or two to describe that picture by itself makes it all the better. So let's see here. Such a great way to put it. It's simple. Yeah, it's visual. It's simple. Yeah, and even on desktop, so you can tell. Like, I mean, obviously with a mouse on desktop, it's a lot easier just to click on the text. But you understand. If you're on this call, you probably understand that mobile is where all the traffic is, anyways, right? And so it's always a great idea to build your processes up for mobile. If the answers for DDS marketing questions are numbers like years, how would you use pictures for that? Chelsea, that's a great question, and that's what I was hoping I had. I do have some examples. I just don't know where the URLs are for them, and I didn't think to put those examples up in advance. But what people do is they'll typically for an age range, for instance. What they'll do is they'll go into Photoshop or whatever your favorite image maker is, and they'll make a square image and they'll write really big font inside of that image that says 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. Right? If it's maybe a 1 or 2 word sentence or phrase like an answer, instead of leaving it just for the words, they'll actually type the words into a big image and put those on there as well. I highly recommend, even if you have to do that, it's still better than just 100% going text. That's right. You just write the number on the image, save the image, and then upload it onto your response. Now, let me show you guys how to do that. If you haven't been on the calls where I've shown this before, let me jump in here and show you exactly how you do it. I may actually have to create, I'm just going to create a clone. So while we get hypnotized by this blue circle, all right, so how do you add an image to your responses? It's really, really, really simple. So as you can see here, we've got all radio buttons. This is the back end of this Madden quiz. So you click on this choose your quarterback. Notice how each of these responses have an image next to it. And so all you got to do when you have your option is, you put on here John Elway. Then what you would do is you come over here and click Add Image, and then you click in here to upload an image from your desktop or wherever you have it stored on your computer, and it'll give you the preview over here. The maximum file size is 2 megabytes, and the recommended usage size is 300 by 300. So we definitely recommend square. As you can see on the desktop version, it looks like about 3 wide. You could, again, if you got these images smaller, I think you can get 4 on here. It may actually, this may be the max though. I'm just trying to think. But then on mobile, what they do is it scales down, right? So it's 2 per line, and then you can just kind of scroll to each one. But again, guys, I promise you, if you want to make sure you get everyone through, your questions have to be good and relevant, obviously. But if you really want to pump it through to where it's like, you know, get that number way up there in the 99% region, adding images is a fantastic way of doing that. Yes, 300 by 300. And you don't have to memorize that. It's literally written right here. So if you forget, come over here, and it'll be right there. So one thing too, and just to let you know, you what's this button do? Oh, it's a little help thing. You can add an image. You can add an image to the question. I don't particularly like the way it looks, but if you are a creative type of person and you can figure it out, this would be, you could do that. But what it does is it loads the image on the top of the question. So maybe instead of having the content for the question, maybe you could just add an image that asks the question. I haven't seen anybody use it like really awesome. So but again, that's just one thing to point out. What I do know is that adding the images for the responses is major conversion booster. All right, let's see if we got any questions here. All right. So as you guys can see, it's super simple. All right. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to cover and look at is multiple lead capture pages. All right. Has anyone in here? Is anyone in here with a segmentation funnel using multiple lead capture pages? Just a yes or no. Nope. No. Want to. No, but interested. Will maybe. Plan to. All right. Well, guess what? We are going to talk about how to do that and why they work so well. But another thing I want to preface with is that you don't have to. You can, so like if you're in a, you know, you want to launch a funnel, right? You don't always want to do all the conversion stuff all the first time. I mean, you can, but what a lot of times you'll want to do is get the funnel up and running, test it, just so you have the traffic coming in. You're like, okay, is this thing good? Now you can start adding, you know, conversion elements to it. But the reason why you would want to use a multiple lead capture page is to improve the actual opt-in rate, so people becoming your leads. All right. So let's do this. Let's take a look at how you do it. And why does it work so well? Let's see. I've only got one on this one. I've got at least one test in here that I know uses this one. I think it's this one. Yes. All right. So let's take a look here. The way you use, we'll talk about how to do it, and then we'll talk about why. Okay. So the way you add multiple lead capture pages is, you know, you just drag over more than one lead capture page over here. Basically, what you're doing is you can have as many lead capture pages as you have outcomes, okay? Or you can have less, and I'll show you kind of what the difference is. So once you add because you've heard me say this before probably if you've been on any of my webinars. But when it comes to segmentation funnels, I always say start with the outcome, right? So before you go out and add all your questions in, hopefully you started with your outcomes, so you'll already have those in place, right? So you start with your outcomes. Then what you want to do is build your lead capture page around setting them up to get to the lead capture page. What I mean by that is let's look at this number let's look at this letter A, hitting my goals and deadlines. All right, so we're just going to take a look at the lead cap, or this is the outcome page, right? While you're waiting, check out this quick 3-minute video, excuse me, that reveals one simple way to always hit your goals and deadlines. Now, if this video video isn't custom, it's just like literally it's a placeholder for a test. But imagine if this video was specifically about that headline, where we just said in the subhead, it's all about hitting your goals and deadlines, because you just told me you're hitting your goals and deadlines. So now I'm going to sell you a product that solves your problem, and give you, build all the copy around it, all about this outcome. Well, if the person never gets there, then they'll never see this awesome customized pitch, right? But I'm just going to discard these changes. What we do is we customize these lead capture pages. So what you can do is, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 outcomes. So I literally made a lead capture page for every outcome on this funnel. All right. So let's take a look at this lead capture page. What you do is over here on the left, where it says map outcome, this is where you'll choose. You'll see there's not any choices because I've already taken up all the choices with all the other lead capture pages that I have. But if this was the first one that we were adding in, it would have a list of all of them, right? It would have all A, B, C, D, E outcomes. So you would just choose the right one. So in this case, I would choose hitting my goals and deadlines. Now take a look here. Again, this is very light copy. Like, I didn't go overboard. I just wanted to show the example of it, just so you could see and use your own creativity to see how you would do this. So you see here, it's like step 2, fill out the form below, and I'll show you how to use the Business Mastery, which is the book that they're opting in for, that they want, to start hitting your goals and deadlines today. Okay, so now I've customized this opt-in page to where it just it's kind of echoing back to them. They told me their problem was hitting my goals and deadlines. I've mapped them to the outcome, and now I've mapped this lead page, this opt-in page, to the outcome as well. So they're seeing the customized message already. And that, what it's also doing, so A, the message to opt in answers the problem that you have, right? That's number one. That's going to improve your conversion rates by itself. But what it also does is it prepares you for the sales message that I'm going to give you on the outcome page, right? So you've already heard, okay, hitting my goals and deadlines is my issue. If I fill in my email address, they're going to give me something that relates to my issue, and then by the time you get that sales pitch on the outcome page that's about your issue as well, you see how your mind is already framed and ready to hear the information. So it customizes it, and it keeps it keeps the message uniform for you all the way across if you use the multiple outcome pages. But like I said, you could easily just use one opt-in page. If you didn't want to do multiple, you could just have one. But I think you guys could probably see why this would improve your conversions, right? Someone said that I'm fading in and out with my audio. Is that happening for everyone? Nope. Nope. Sounds great. All right. Sorry, Tina. Okay, but is this making sense to everybody? Now that I got you answering questions, I might as well find out that we're all on the same page. And I'm going to walk you guys through this so you can see how this looks and how we come to this. Here, let me back out of here real quick. Discard. Just so you guys can see what in the world I'm even talking about, right? So we hit preview. So this is the home page, right? So we're making the pitch for Tony's book. And it's not really, but in the example. So, hey, you want this free book? Yes, I want my free copy. We even use the video to really sell it, give you some advice and everything. Hit that button. Yes, Tony, please send me my copy of Business Mastery. Step 1, what's the number one roadblock holding you back in your business? Hitting goals and deadlines and yada, yada. Now, you guys can see, if I was able to boil this down into images, how cool, how much better would that be? Probably on mobile, very much better, because these are going to be super tiny to click on. But let's just say hitting my goals and deadlines. All right, boom. Now, step 2, fill out the form below, and I'll show you how to use Business Mastery, this book that you already said you wanted for free, so that you can start hitting your goals and deadlines today. Well, that obviously sounds like a very good idea, because I just told you that's what I wanted, and that was my roadblock. So put my info right in there, put a little test email, hit continue, and now your copy of Business Mastery is on its way. While you're waiting, check out the 3-minute sales pitch that reveals the one simple way to always hit your goals and deadlines, right? So now, and then again, presumably this video would be just about what they told me the problem was. So now, instead of just giving them the same old, hey, this is why Business Mastery is so great, and going through all 4 or 5 of the choices, now it dives into their specific issue. And so they really feel like the book will solve their problems, or whatever the sales pitch would be will solve their problems, right? Does that make sense? Cool. Makes sense, makes sense, makes a lot of sense. Fantastic. So again, so now we've looked at, and just for a quick recap, we've looked at so far adding videos to your funnels and your surveys. Again, and guys, this stuff works just as well on surveys as it does segmentation funnels. I'm mostly showing segmentation funnels because that's where you'll typically do more of your marketing stuff, right? I mean, because that's typically where you're paying for traffic, and that's your front-end marketing. But you can apply any of these principles and any of these tools to your surveys, right? So if you have a survey and people are just falling off like crazy and not answering, these are some of the things that you would want to add. Add a video to a welcome page and tell them, hey, here's what you get when you answer these questions, right? Make some of the buttons super easy to click on. Add, you can't add a multiple opt-in page on the Discover survey, but you can make it to where anything leading up to that, you can really affect the conversions by adding some of those other features. So let's take a look at another feature, that you can add to both, and that is the progress bar and the meta information on the configure screen. You wouldn't think that the configure screen is where you would make tweaks that would affect your conversions, but I am here to tell you that these 2 options, used correctly, are super helpful for improving conversions, especially if your assessments or your quizzes are kind of long, like more than just that 1 question or 2 questions. If you've got like a 5 or 6 question assessment, it's a good idea to throw a progress bar on there, right? But you never ever want to leave it just sitting at 0. This screen gives you the ability to start your progress bar wherever you want. I mean, you could literally start it at 40% if you wanted to. And then the bucket will calculate the rest of the progress for you, right? So each question, let's say you have 5 questions, you start at 40%, then each question will be some small percentage after it. Or you could start it, I would say, and I've heard the pros, the experts, the real conversion gurus that do a lot of testing, say starting at around like the 20% range, but like kind of like at a odd number, it's like 26% instead of 25, right? Or 22%. You see what I'm saying? So as soon as they hit that first question, let's say they hit your welcome page and they hit the button, then the progress bar says, hey, you're 22% done. Well, that sounds a lot better than hitting it and having it sit on 0 and then feel like, oh my God, is this going to be one of those things that takes an hour and a half and I'm not even getting a free Amazon card out of it? So you don't want to feel it like that, right? And so you always want to start that progress bar at at a higher percentage than 0. The other thing that I pointed out on the screen, you see here, I made sure to mention, is this meta information. Now, how in the world can meta information improve your conversions, you may ask? Well, I'm happy to tell you. This info that you type in on these 2 boxes is what shows up when you share your link, or even better, when someone shares your link for you, right? When someone takes an assessment or gets a download that you gave away that was super valuable, or anything that makes them say, man, I could really share this with people on my Facebook page. Well, what the people see when they paste this link is what you type in here. And if you just type in, or if you leave it blank, what they're going to see is the word untitled, no description, bucket.io. And if you think anyone's going to come clicking around on your assessment, if that's what they see, I got news for you. It ain't happening. You want to be descriptive. You want to be benefit oriented, right? So like for instance, this title, Get Business Mastery Free. The all-new Business Mastery is the newest, best business book on business. All right, I can tell I was obviously trying to be silly here. The all-new Business Mastery is the newest, best business book on business mastery in the universe. So just a little tongue-in-cheek. I'm just being silly here, but obviously you see what I'm getting at. Like I didn't remember what I had written until I started reading it out loud, and it was too late. But you guys, you get what I'm talking about, right? You want to use benefit-driven copy because A, it's going to get the clicks. B, if they already are prepared for what you're going to present them when they get on the page, your conversions are going to be, way better than if it's, if they don't know what to expect, right? So anyway, so another thing that you can do here, and I didn't put it on there, but it's super important, is putting a call to action image on here, or any kind of image that will improve your click-through rate. And as you can see here, you've got the recommended image size is 1200 by 630 pixels, and this really plays well on Facebook. So if you put a really high pop-in image on here, you're going to see your click-through go way up from link to your segmentation funnel or your survey. And again, the way I look at it is, I may personally not be putting this stuff on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, but what I'm hoping for is that the information that I'm giving and the aha moments that I'm delivering with these quizzes or the assessment is so good that it'll make somebody want to go share it with their timeline, right? Share it with their people. And once they do that, then it's got to be super clear. And you don't want them thinking, oh, how do I do the marketing for this thing, right? So this is why this section is so important and huge for conversions. Where does that image show? On the meta info image, where does the image show? Okay, I see what you're saying. So basically what happens is whenever you share a link on Facebook, have you ever shared a link on Facebook before? When you share the link, it automatically puts like the main image of like a blog post, for instance. You've never shared a link on Facebook before? Well, today is a good day to start sharing links on Facebook. Anyway, so if you share a link on Facebook, the image that it comes out, that it pulls up, like you want that to be a good image. And this is your chance to set what that image is instead of it pulling up like a bucket logo. I'm not reading that out loud, Josh. All right, we got another big question here. How do we know what images will get more click-throughs? Chelsea asked. It's relevancy. Just think relevant. Like if it's relevant to the people that you're going to be showing the link to, then you can expect a ton of clicks. If it's not relevant, then they probably won't click it, unless it's a relevant text. Always on these social media stuff and email and all that, it's all about how relevant is it to what's happening. If you So Chris is asking, have you ever done testing with regards to completing funnels? Describe sales made. I think Chris is asking if we've done any testing for the sales made right on the funnel and versus the sales made on the back end through email. I think, again, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think the numbers that you've seen us talk about in marketing and all the the promotional stuff that we do, we're talking about sales made on the funnel in the process of like on the first site. Yes, you can follow up on email. Yes, it's your conversions are still going to be high because if you're doing the email marketing correctly, you've got the segmentation stuff. But I believe we're talking about the same visit conversions. So it's a good thing you guys can't see each other's chat, because I'm not reading this stuff off. All right. Anyways, okay. So now for anyone who's joining us late, we're just having way too much fun here. This shouldn't be this much fun. This is supposed to be work, people. Okay. All right. So far we've talked about adding videos, right? Adding videos to your welcome pages, to your outcome pages to improve your conversions. Even your opt-in pages, if you find that you need that. We've talked about adding images to your responses so that when people are answering your questions, they're doing it by clicking on the images themselves. We've talked about adding multiple lead capture pages. We've talked about adding progress bars, using benefit heavy meta informations so that when you're sharing these links, the right info is getting across. So just doing good communications all around. Now we want to talk about field logic, and I think I saved this one for last because it's kind of techy, right? And I know there's probably not a lot of you using it, so I wanted to kind of go in a little bit deep into it. Is anyone here using field logic in their segmentation funnel or their survey? Not yet. Planned? Yep. On one question. No, not yet. Not me. We're going to get you there, Suzette. But I want to. Fantastic. And I'm going to answer that question in a second, Garth. Is this the lead? I'm going to stop the answer. I'm going to start reading your questions out loud, Chris. All right. So field logic. If you've never used it, or if you've never even seen it, what it is it lets you take responses from prior questions and use them in the other questions in your segmentation or your survey. A couple of things, you can use them from the prior questions. You can customize how you display the responses. I'm going to walk you guys through all this stuff. And one big thing, because I've seen people try it, I've personally tried it and it doesn't work. You can't use the field logic on the lead capture pages or outcome pages. You can only use it on the actual questions themselves. So what we'll do, I'll walk you guys through how to do that, how to do field logic. It's down here. It's the circle with the two brackets. I think it looks like a power outlet, but apparently nobody else does. So I'll walk you guys through this real quick. Okay, so the way that this works is, here, I was going to turn it off, but I'll just use this. So like I said before, the way that you use field logic is you take a question, you create a name for it. So in this case, it's Q1. You know what? I'm going to back out of here because this one only has the one question. I'm going to find this one actually has multiple. Yeah, this one uses it. I wanted to use an example that we could actually look at. So it's in the configure. This field logic field over here, circle with brackets. And And so what you do, so if this was blank, if we were just getting started, what it would tell me to do is choose a question, okay? And so what you'll do is you pick the question that you want to reference in another part of your quiz. So this one was Q2, how much do you have saved for retirement? And we have this field over here that says savings. So with the field right next to the question is how you're going to reference it later. So this is the name where you're going to use savings to actually reference these. So what we've written here is under $250,000, we've got just the word savings. Because you don't want to say, when you're talking to somebody and bringing this back up, you say, so how do you feel about having under $250,000? You just want to say, how do you feel about your savings, right? Like that was the decision we came to. From 250K to $500,000 plus, we just put 250K plus. 500 to a million, we just say 500K plus. And over $1 million, we just say $1 million plus, right? So based on what they choose here, this is going to be what displays when we use it later on in the segmentation funnel. Does that make sense? Same thing with this question. So we've got, in addition to Social Security and pension income, so we're calling the answers to this one income, and that's how we're going to pull it up. Then we've got under 1,000, over 1,000, over 2,500, over 4,000. So this is how it'll be displayed later. And now let me show you how you use that. I'll jump back over to build. And so we've got this question number 3. In addition to, you know what? I think I actually got rid of that question on this one. Let me pull it up. I know where I used it, so I do want you guys to see it, just so you can see how it actually works. Okay, yeah. So right here we ask, has anyone tried pressuring you into moving a large percentage of your, and then you see this here where it says savings in the brackets. This is how we're going to use that information that we captured in the savings question. So, if they chose, $250,000, then it would just say the word savings. If they chose like $1 million, it would say moving a large percentage of your $1 million plus into a lifetime income annuity, right? So you see how that works and why that could be super effective for improving your conversions on people answering the question. Because what you're able to do is make it look like you're, and it is, you see how you're able to make that, your questions look, a lot smarter. Let's see here. Did I use it over here? No. So anyways, let's do just a quick preview so you guys can see what this looks like. When do you plan to retire? 5 to 10 years. How much do you have saved? I'll just put 500 in addition. Just push this. So look, where it says, has anyone tried pressuring you into moving a large percentage of your 500K plus into a lifetime? See again, so now we're bringing up the amount of money that they have into our question, so it makes it to where they can say, yeah, they have, totally, or no, they haven't, totally, yet. And then that's how you use that field logic to just, again, what you're trying to do is not only just get people through it, but get the best answer. And if you use field logic, your chances of getting those best answers go up tremendously. And this works really well in segmentation funnels, and it works super well in Discover surveys. Because if you could bring up, when you're asking like an open-ended question, if you could bring up something that they may have answered before and say, hey, when it comes to that thing you just told me a while ago, what are some things you think I should know about that, right? And then instead of them trying to guess what you're asking them, you're able to give it to them specifically. And a lot of times that can be the difference between a really good answer or kind of like a meh answer, right? So is this making sense for everyone? Yes, makes sense. Yes, makes sense. All right, let me see here. Looks like we have some questions. How did you insert that savings into the follow-up question? So I did it literally like you typed it. So I'm going to type it here in chat, guys. So you can, or actually, I'll just go to the screen and show it to you again. Has anyone tried? So you see where I'm highlighting right here? This is how you do it. You just had open bracket with the square bracket, the word that you chose, and for this one we chose savings, right? Close the bracket, and it spits out exactly what information you put in there. Now, I'm going to show you something even cooler, because there's a little hack here, all right? Jump back over to configure. Boop, boop. Field logic. So there, you see this little link over here that says add another? So what you can do is you can actually give the same answer different variables, or not variables, just different values. So like right here, we have the word savings. But let's say we wanted to, instead of calling it just savings, you know, we wanted to call it, you know, something else. Like maybe we do want to call it, you know, less than 200 or 250,000, right? Let's say we have another sentence later on, or maybe even in that same question that said, hey, since you have less than $250,000, maybe this, you know, maybe this might be an answer for you. You see what I'm saying? So you can use the same values, but you know, kind of change the wording. Like some words you might want to capitalize, some you might not. And then so all we would do here is say, let's say savings long. I should probably do it all one word just for the. So something like savings long. So if I wanted to use a long version of it, I could, right? Maybe I've got something down here, past tense. Again, so you can always add the different ways of saying it, so that if you need to reference it later, you can have the different ways of saying it. Just make sure when you're creating the actual names, you are using something that you'll quickly be able to reference. So like I said, you know, some cases you might just do, like you just might need something that's, you know, capitalized. It would look stupid if you used that, you know, in the middle of a sentence, but if you have one where you know you're going to start the sentence, then you can put, you know, maybe savings capital, right? Where I capitalize the less. You guys get, are you guys following me on that? No. Yes, that makes sense. Yep. All right, Chris, let me know what part you're not following, and I'm going to look at a couple of these questions. So Alan's asking, would you please show us an example of how you use the field logic in a discovery survey? Yes, I will. In the first example, the savings that you referenced in the next question was based on the field correlated with the question in Q2. It was based on the yeah. So when I okay, I know it's kind of weird. So here, let's do this. Humble savings, just so you guys could see. Like I wasn't when I typed in the code for savings, I was referencing this, not the second one here. Does that make sense? So now it would say humble savings instead of savings, right? I would never say that to somebody that saved literally $250,000. I think that would be a jerky thing to actually put in front of them. So since you got a humble savings, but just for the example here, I was referencing this. When you put the brackets in, you're putting the brackets for the field that's next to the question, right? So you got savings, saving capital, saving number, you know, maybe number only, right? So that's how that works. Does that make better sense? Yes, all you have to do is put the brackets. Bracket, the name that you wrote, close bracket. And so you can't, Josh is asking, can you do you have to show us how to add a tag Each one can have a tag added to CRM. So you don't do, this won't change what gets sent to your CRM. If you're using Zapier, what gets sent, and I don't want to go down the Zapier line right now because it's already past 5 o'clock. But no, the field logic has nothing to do with what gets sent over to Zapier, just to answer that question. Ellen asked, did I make savings capital one word on purpose? Yeah, I think, I don't know, I've never tried it with 2 words, but I stuck it together just for the sake of just not making that mistake. So you might be able to. I've never done it. I've always just used 1 word. I don't understand capital on the back of savings. So the reason I put the word capital, right? So saving, and again, it seems like a financial term, but that's honestly not what I was trying to do. So like, notice how here I'm using a capital L. Well, that would look kind of silly in the middle of a sentence, right? So, but if I wanted to start the sentence off with, like I have, or something like that, something with a capital letter, I would just put savings capital. So I would know there's a capital letter, and I would know how to use that later on. I'm just, again, just showing ideas on how you could possibly use it. And no, none of the stuff that we're talking about today actually talk about, equate to Entreport or Infusionsoft or any of that. All that stuff is on their own integration pages. And if you guys, we did just do a, if you're having issues or questions on integrating and Entreport and Infusionsoft and MailChimp and all that, we literally just did a really good webinar on that the other day. It's called Integrating with Your Email Service Provider. And you can find that over here in the webinar replays and help. And I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Cool. If we have already published a survey, can we go back and add things like field logic? Yes. And that was a really long yes. Because I'm like 90% sure you can, but why don't we learn this one together? We got this one's published, and I'm pretty sure you can. So let's click on here. Yes, you totally can. So we'll just go over to configure. Click on field logic. We'll choose quarterback, QB, Eli, Dak, Aaron, Tom. All right. And save changes. And then what we'll do is jump back over here. Yeah, we'll edit. And then we'll go to receiver. Oh, you like QB, do you? Well, now you get to choose your receiver. Hit save. Go to preview. And remember, this was already published, right? So we'll have to see if this works. Dak. Oh, you like Dak, do you? Well, now you get to choose your receiver. So, yeah, totally works even if you've already published it. I swear I knew that already. I just wanted to show you. Could you use field logic to do this? You could. Well, we did use field logic, but I think you might be asking branching logic to do that. Branching logic is a little overdoing it. You could totally use branching logic to do this, but that's kind of, that's for just something like adding just like a little, little bit of text into the question to make it convert better. Branching logic is a little overkill. I think that's what you're asking, because this is field logic. Yeah, that's exactly right. Josh says, love that field logic is like a simplified, separate version than branching. Yep, that is right. So a lot of times just branching is like way too much. It's overkill. Charles, if you're wanting to calculate a score, you can kind of do that with mapping. I would go to, in Bucket, go to Help. What just happened? Oh. Go to Help, webinar replays, and this one, multiple outcome mapping with scoring sample. I'll show you. I mean, it's kind of scoring, but it may not be exactly what you're thinking, because if you're thinking scores like adding up numbers and giving like an actual number, it doesn't do that. But it does show you how to use mapping and how to use the scoring system. All right, so those are the basic, those are the basic tools inside of Bucket that you guys can use to, in some cases, dramatically impact your conversions. Some of them, as you can see, I mean, they're kind of little small things, but small things sometimes make big changes and improvements. We have looked at some major needle mover stuff. So again, I'm going to run back through the list one more time. Adding videos, that's a big time needle mover, I think, on both welcome page and outcome page conversions. Multiple lead capture pages. I think if you're noticing a really light conversion rate on your opt-in, that's where I would go first. I would go to multiple and then customize it based on the outcome. I think if you get that right, you're going to see a big lift in the opt-in conversions. One of the biggest ones of all is the images in your responses. So for each answer, make that an image versus just text only. Especially if you've got a lot of mobile traffic, then again, massive conversion booster. And then you've got the progress bar, the meta information, and of course field logic that we just talked about. All those things. And if you're really whiz about it and you get them all moving in one segmentation funnel, send me a link to it because I would like to see it. Those are the ones I think that's clicking on all cylinders, typically are using all of those things. And if you have questions about any of this stuff, you can always go to the help or hit up our awesome support guys on the in-app messenger. What that does, just so you know, that sends a message to them and then they'll get back to you ASAP. You can always email support@bucket.io. And I know you've all been waiting for this. It's time for the one-on-one call sales pitch. No, I'm just kidding, it's not a sales pitch. But if you haven't ever been on one of these, I highly recommend it. It's a free one-on-one call. Everyone who's paying for Bucket can have access to these. It's the best next step for you if you if you're paying for Bucket and you don't take advantage of a one-on-one and you're not generating thousands of leads at top performance inside of, I mean, even I talk to guys that are generating thousands of leads a day and still have us come in and take a look because it's just smart. I mean, if you're getting it, it's free. I just recommend it. Because if you're blocked in any way, shape, or form, that's your one step to getting out of being blocked. And what it is, it's a Zoom call, not a phone call. I mean, you can't really get much done talking on the phone, but we can get a lot done on like a Zoom. It's a video meeting where we do a screen share, and someone like myself or Jonathan or one of our Bucket specialists just kind of watches you click around and get stuff set up inside your account, so that you're not fumbling around or trying to figure it out on your own, right? Or if you have it built and you just want someone to come in and look at it, totally, that's one of the a great way to use the service too. It's about 15 minutes. It's all 100% focused on you. It's not like you're sharing time with a group. And I've personally tackled huge problems, tiny problems. There's no too big or too small. So. You guys need to do more shout outs so that we can go screenshot those and put them on my slide here. These are getting kind of old, so we need some new ones. So get on these one-on-ones and then go talk nice about us on Facebooks. So who wants one? Who wants the link to this? Anybody? Or do you guys just not even care? Anybody want this? Yes, yes, yes. I want it. All right, fine. Fine. I'll get it. Let's see. And I'll just grab this new one I just made. I haven't even shared it, and it's got a couple people. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat. Chat. All right. I'm pasting it in right now. Guys, can you all let me know if you see this link in the chat? I never know if it's the right chat. There's two places to do chats on here. See the link. Thank you, got it. Totally welcome. I love doing these. I love doing these webinars, helping you guys out. I know this is a totally new technology.